Hey everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel, and today's video is pretty basic, but I figured I would try to tie in diabetes and COVID-19 in some sort of way, and that is what to expect at your future endocrinology appointments or even any doctor's appointment in general, and even could apply to dentistry, but there's a little bit of difference with dentistry only because I'm in it and I kind of know that there's a little more specifics we deal with as far as more of what we do as a clinician versus a patient. But here are some very basic general guidelines of what to expect at your next appointment here, considering that we now have to deal with coronavirus or COVID-19 disease, also known as SARS-CoV-2, out and about in our world here. So first of all, if you are going to go on to a facility, like say a medical facility, a hospital, a clinic, for any type of appointment, most likely you're going to have screening questions. So you may walk into the door, they may want you to put a face mask on. I would say that's for most places now, just to contain any of your respiratory droplets in the event that you may be an asymptomatic carrier of COVID-19. They will then ask you a bunch of screening questions ranging from, have you been around anybody who has tested positive for COVID-19? Have you had a COVID test within 7 days? Have you had any of the symptoms such as fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat? Any of those types of very major COVID-19 symptoms, they're going to ask you if you've had experienced, and then they will most likely put a forehead temperature checker right to your head and see if your temperature is above 100.3 or 100.4, and if you're at that level or above, they will most likely send you home and allow you to reschedule your appointment for a different time when your fever has subsided. Now, these screening questions can be kind of annoying, so I highly recommend that you go to your appointment ahead of time, because you may be waiting in line a little bit. Like I said, they're annoying, but I would rather them use them than have them bring in a patient who has a fever into a clinic or a medical facility without having a COVID test or knowing if it's truly COVID related. So I understand the reasoning behind these screening questions, and this is something we're using in dentistry as well. Number 2 is your office may decide to do a virtual appointment versus an actual in-physical appointment to limit the contact others are having between each other. Now, this is something that's actually optional at my clinic. My endocrinologist made me aware of it. However, I told her, I said, I'm not really that nervous about COVID-19. And again, this is my opinion, okay? I said, I feel comfortable coming in here. I said, you're taking all the right protocol. You're disinfecting. You're asking screening questions. You're making a social distance, and obviously you're taking all the precautions you can. So I feel very comfortable coming in here. And she was totally fine with that. But there are some offices that may require that at this time. At my office, it is an option. However, if you feel more comfortable doing that, that's awesome. All you probably would have to do then is do your lab work at a different lab and have a virtual appointment. And then you may be able to upload any of your pump data or Dexcom data right into your computer, and then they can also view that if it's a sharing capability. Because I've been having some issues with glucose, I just let them download my Omnipod Dash pump stuff. And I said, you might as well just keep doing it, because obviously you need that data to kind of look at different things. Now, she could just do a virtual appointment and look at my Dexcom, because truly what we need to really figure out is how my blood sugars are doing. And then I could tell her what my settings are on my pump or something of that sort if it came down to the point where I had to do a virtual appointment, and we can make adjustments that way. But some offices may require you to do a virtual appointment, and keep this in mind. Not all offices will require you to do it. Some are making it an option, like mine. Some are requiring it, some aren't. Some are still doing in person and just taking extra precautions. Number 3 is you're probably going to have to practice social distancing in the waiting room and in between when you're with people. So please be patient. Have common courtesy for keeping 6 feet apart or more from others to prevent the spread of COVID-19. I noticed in the waiting room they have chairs turned backwards so that it's forcing people to stay spaced 6 feet apart, and different chairs that are turned forward, so you're only forced to sit in certain chairs to keep you apart from people. I'm also noticing that they're routinely cleaning a little bit more, like every hour on the hour there is somebody there wiping down chairs, handles, tables. They're eliminating any magazines or easily touched items that patients could touch, and then you could possibly pick up a COVID-19 from those items. So please be patient with those people, and please be understanding that they're just trying to use social distancing and cleaning measures to keep you healthy. This is very much true for dentistry too, so please be patient when you're going back for dental appointments, whether they are for restorative work or for regular cleanings. And number 4 is you're probably going to have your A1Cs done or your blood work done at different labs. Like mine basically allowed me to do a finger prick, and I would get my A1C in 7 minutes on a machine. However, because the medical assistants are being overloaded with having to run sensors and pumps for certain patients, it's adding a lot of extra work for them to take a minute and prick a patient's finger and then go run that also. So from now until they say it's over or whatever, or until they can get a better system, I have to go to a separate lab 3 to 7 business days prior to my appointment and have a venipuncture and get my A1C taken that way. However, my endocrinologist understands that you probably don't want to get tons of venipunctures, so she ordered my next A1C 4 months from my appointment, and my vitamin D. She said just do it all at once because obviously you don't need to get multiple venipunctures if you don't need to. I only see my endocrinologist 3 times a year because I'm a well-controlled type 1 diabetic. So just be mindful that you may have to go to a different lab. You may have to schedule your time to do a laboratory thing. With my clinic, I'm allowed to walk in and do laboratory work at any of the sites that offer laboratory work. Again, you may just have to wait outside and get screened by a nurse or an office person at the front desk. And please don't be surprised if they ask you screening questions when you go to check in and pay your copay. And check in for your appointment. They may ask similar questions or questions that are a little bit different, such as, have you traveled outside your state? Have you traveled outside your country? How are you feeling today? They may ask you a little bit more different questions kind of related to the COVID-19 screening process. It's kind of like a double check screening, kind of what we're doing at my clinic that I'm going to school for. They're getting asked screening questions when they walk in the door. And I'm also, when my patient sits down in my chair, I'm also asking them very similar or the same screening questions to possibly avoid a contact exposure with COVID-19. So my last endocrinology appointment here was on June 25th, 2020, and my A1C is 6.4, so we're doing really good. I'm not concerned for my health with COVID-19 as far as getting major complications. Again, however, that doesn't mean I'm immune to it. However, I don't foresee myself being a super high risk because of my age and my well-controlled diabetes, and I have no other comorbidities that could put me at a higher risk for COVID-19 complications. So I'm going to continue to use my common sense precautions and also social distance or physical distance as much as possible. Not only are these common sense precautions good for my safety to keep myself safe because I'm going back in clinic in July, but I'm also using these common sense precautions to protect the higher risk individuals who are within my family and people I don't know, because I care about people I don't know. You know what? I may be running into somebody who has cancer, HIV, AIDS, somebody who is super immunocompromised, elderly, has a respiratory illness like asthma, who are just trying to get their groceries and go home, and I want to respect them and respect that I could be a carrier of COVID-19 and never have a single symptom, and that they don't deserve anybody's negligence to get them sick when they're doing everything they can to keep themselves safe. So like I said, I'm continuing to do the common sense precautions for myself, but mostly for those who are at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19 and having major complications from it or even dying from it. There is obvious comorbidities with this particular virus. It's not quite as randomized as the flu. It's a little more targeted specifically towards the super immunocompromised and the elderly, but not always the case. I'm sure there are young, healthy people that are dying from it, but it is less likely from what I've been reading. Like I said, what I'm saying is what I believe in. You may believe in something totally different. You may consider type 1 diabetics a high risk. Okay, that's okay. I can agree with that. I probably am a slightly higher risk than somebody who my age with no health conditions, but I definitely know I'm not an extreme high risk like somebody with cancer or who is elderly or who has something like asthma or COPD where they cannot they have a hard time regulating their breathing and their circulatory system. So what you're going to see next is kind of my snapshot of the day, me going through my actual appointment. So I believe I did end the video, but if I didn't, thank you guys for watching, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Please continue to stay safe and healthy, and I will role play the clips that I took from that day. So I will see you in those clips. Hey everyone, if you're watching this video, you've probably already heard me talk a little bit about my experience dealing with an endocrinology appointment or a diabetes appointment post-pandemic, whatever you want to call it, because the pandemic is still here, but like obviously we're still dealing with the pandemic itself, like it's going to be here for a while. So I thought I'd give you an idea of like, you know, how it goes. So I'm just waiting in my car right now. The reason why it is at such an unattractive angle is because there's a lady in a SUV next to me that is like talking to her kid, and I'm keeping my camera on my gear shift, and I'm having you look up at me so that obviously to protect her privacy, and I don't need people staring at me while I'm vlogging. So I did my A1C earlier, as you probably already knew. It's 6.4. It went down from 6.5, so that's really good, which is also good for me too, going back to school in July, that like I have well-controlled diabetes. Like I said, I personally feel like if you're a well-controlled type 1 diabetic, that there isn't enough information out there to really suggest that type 1 diabetics are at a higher risk of COVID-19 than other patients. I could see if I had other comorbidities such as high blood pressure, asthma, maybe even another autoimmune disease like lupus or something like that, that would put me at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19 and getting severe symptoms from it. But I personally am not worried. My blood sugars are pretty well controlled. Again, the only real risk for a type 1 diabetic is diabetic ketoacidosis when we are sick. However, I do have a sick day plan that I used when I had the flu. I just double up on the amount of insulin I would take for a meal or a correction, and it seems to work pretty well. And at some point, I know we're all going to be exposed to COVID, so I'm not going to live my life in fear over a virus. It's my opinion. Like I said, if you have other medical conditions, or you are older, or you definitely are in the high-risk group, like say you have a respiratory condition like asthma or COPD, completely understandable, or cancer, I get it. You have every right to be fearful, but for someone like myself who really doesn't have a lot of issues, and that my age, the age I'm at is young, I'm nearly 22 years old, so I don't really think my risk of getting serious complications from COVID is high. And like I said, I'm doing all the precautionary measures I can, not really to protect myself, of course, but to really protect those who are most vulnerable. I worry about my 82-year-old grandma. I worry about people who have had recent surgeries like my mother. I worry about immunocompromised patients. I worry about patients who have respiratory conditions, and I'm very courteous about that. When I'm out in public, I don't go out to restaurants yet. I'm not doing certain things that I know put me at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19. Now, I'm not really scared to go back to my clinicals because they've got us the proper PPE. Like I said, I'll talk more about that later, but my appointment is at 2:45. They want me here at 2:30, but I'll probably go in at 2:15 and stand in line because most likely they're going to do a screening for COVID-19. If you don't know what that's about, basically all they do is take your temperature and ask you a series of about 5 to 10 questions-ish related to COVID-19, such as if you had any cough, fever, shortness of breath, any symptoms that may mimic COVID-19, a high fever. They actually do check your temperature, and if your temperature is above 100.3 or 100.4, I don't remember the exact number, but I know it's above 100 point something, they send you home. They're not going to let anybody with possible COVID symptoms come into a medical facility. So please go to your appointments if they are scheduled for you. My office is not doing virtual ones. However, like I said, I had to get my A1C done in a different lab, like I mentioned to you. So they're probably trying to limit the amount of contact you're having with people in one area. Like they're probably just doing labs in a certain area or a certain walk-in versus appointments at an actual facility, like the facility I'm at right now, which happens to be on the backside of the hospital that I went into when I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So it's kind of interesting that that's where I am. But anyways, I'm not really worried. Like I said, please go to your doctor's appointments if they're scheduled, and now dental appointments should be up and free for you to go to. Just be cautious about where the place is using. I would say most of us, including my clinic that I'm going to at school right now, is using COVID-19 screening questions, temperature checks, social distancing protocols. People have to wear a mask. Please continue to wear your masks. If you're not, please wear one, and think about somebody else and not about yourself. It's the point of being selfless, not selfish, okay? Think about the frontline workers. We want to keep them safe and healthy and stuff like that. So continue to use as much proper protocol as you can, just like with any other illness like the flu or even any other bacterial infection like strep throat. Wash your hands, stay away from sick people, stay away from people right now in general if you can avoid it. Try to make your trips only essential trips, and that's what I'm trying to do. And like I said, I'm more worried about other members of my family than I am about myself. And I think if you keep that attitude, we're all going to do a much better job of keeping each other healthy. And like I said, at some point or another, I believe we will all be exposed to this virus, if not already been exposed. I know I've been venturing out a little bit more than I normally did back in March and April when this whole entire coronavirus pandemic, SARS-CoV-2, broke out. But like I said, I've probably been exposed to it already. Who knows if I have? Maybe I had it and never had a single symptom. Maybe I have had it and had a mild symptom and never would have thought about it. Maybe it was just a simple headache one day and it was gone. Everybody's body does respond differently to COVID-19. Not everybody is going to get severe symptoms or get the super duper obvious symptoms of COVID. Not everybody will have symptoms. So I look at it as I could go either way. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that the chances of me getting super duper bad complications from COVID are zero, but the odds of them happening to me at my age and with well-controlled diabetes is pretty small. I don't have any other comorbidities or other health conditions that would put me at a higher risk of COVID-19. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, I'm more concerned about other people right now than I am myself, and I want you to keep that in perspective too. And if you like avocados, here's an avocardio shirt. Make sure you do your avocado. Make sure you do your avocardio every day to keep your blood sugars level. But anyways, I'll check my blood sugar super quick. Last time I checked it was 150, which wasn't too bad. But I feel like I might be a little low now, so I'm going to check that. My blood sugar was a little low. It was 69. And right now I don't have my CGM. It's another story for another video. Hopefully I can sit down and talk about why I don't have my CGM and I won't get it till July 1st. It's a whole freaking mess up with Costco. As I said, I'm not really mad about it. It's irritating because it's like, I think I just over-treated this low thinking that like I'm dropping really fast, but I'm probably not. Like 69 is like a minor ass low, excuse my language, and I just ate 4 glucose tablets and I'm probably going to be at 180 before I know it. But like I said, my blood sugars have been decent being on finger sticks, but you don't get this continuous pattern. You don't get the direction it's heading. I can't predict where my blood sugar might be going. So it's kind of basing it on a little bit of guess, a little bit of overdue or underdue right now, and it's kind of annoying. So just so you know, things happen. My mom's more upset about it than I am, and I can see why. But I'm just kind of rolling with the punches. You know what? Diabetes and health insurance companies are throwing crap at us all the time. And I don't even run this through my health insurance. I pay out of pocket for Dexcom, but the CMPP program through Costco is really being silly right now. And that is the very nice way I'm putting it, because I could really say it in a nastier way. But you know what? Cussing about it is not going to do me any good. Getting angry about it will not do me any good. But is it fair that I have to deal with it, considering that I can pay for it out of pocket? No. Anybody should not have to be dealing with anything related to health insurance and crap. I should not have to be calling on the phone, fighting for stuff. Excuse me, I'm still trying to balance. And another avocado. I'm still trying to balance you on my gear shift because the lady is still sitting in her car. It's now 2 o'clock, so it's been another 15-ish minutes. I will check and make sure that I'm starting to feel less shaky right now, so hopefully my low blood sugar is going up. But anyways, that's a whole nother story for another day, but I thought I'd let you guys know. I'll be heading in about 10-ish, 15-ish minutes. Shouldn't take me too long to get you. It's been 8 minutes and I'm at 82. I'm sure some of you have had it where you've had lows that are extremely weird. Like, I had really no insulin on board. I wasn't doing anything super strenuous, and my blood sugar went from 150 to 69 in like an hour. Like, what happened? You know, like, I'm really kind of confused. But it's one of these lows that, like, even at an 82, I feel like weak. And it's really strange because normally I don't feel super bad for lows until I'm like in the like low 50s, upper 40s. I've been like in the 60s and 50s before and I've had zero symptoms. So I do consider myself a little bit of a hypoglycemia unawareness, but I am glad it is trending up. I will keep my insulin suspended. And like I said, I did eat probably more than I should have, but because I have to go into a couple stores after my appointment, I would rather my blood sugar be higher than lower right now. But I may have to tell the medical assistant, don't be surprised if my blood pressure is super high, because my blood sugar kind of has been off the chart, you know. And I do wholeheartedly believe that your blood pressure and your blood sugar are highly related, especially if it's like high, low, bouncing around. If it's not really stable, like I think it messes with your blood pressure. And right now, like the only thing I feel is like a really weak like tightness in my chest, and it's not like, no, I don't have COVID that I'm aware of. But anyways, like I feel like my heart is pounding out of my chest right now, and like it's one of those really strange lows where it was barely low. It was 69, but I felt like I was in like the 20s. Like that's how bad it felt. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm 69. But who truly knows though? Like, because I don't have my monitor, maybe I was 69 and dropping super quick and I just happened to catch it. That's the thing I miss about my CGM right now, is like I've been going on like 4 or 5 days already, and by the time I get it, I'll be like on a 12-day CGM vacation. Don't get me wrong, there are benefits to taking a break, but a break should not be forced. It should be an optional thing. And trust me, there are some days where I've taken like a good day break from my CGM and just finger prick because I don't have a monitor, a sensor with me, or my transmitter's ready to die, or I just not a convenient time for me to replace my sensor. So I've gone a few hours or maybe like a day without it. And sometimes it's nice to get that break. You don't have that anxiety of constantly watching your blood sugars or like seeing them every 5 minutes. But at the same time, I feel like I'm managing diabetes with a blindfold on. Like I said, thank God my blood sugars have been pretty good overnight, and I haven't had like any lows overnight. This is my first low I've had in a long time. So it kind of leads me to believe it's like, you know, what it is, you know? Kind of leads me to believe that I really need the CGM, because I'm hypo unaware, and I certainly am hyper unaware. The more and more I have diabetes, the less and less aware I am of my symptoms. Like I said, I probably notice highs quicker just because I keep a pretty tight range, and when I get above like 160 to 180, I start feeling like crap. And when I'm below like 50, I start feeling like crap from a low. So kind of a shock my body picked up on this one, but like I said, thank God for the most time I can feel, but not all the time will I feel. And like I said, a break should not be enforced. It should be an option. But anyways, it is 210. At least my blood sugar's on the rise. I still have my insulin suspended, and I will keep it suspended for the time being, because like I said, I'd rather go to 200 right now, even though it's not where I want to be, than sitting at a 60 or 50 some for an appointment. But I'll probably check it in the waiting room or something just to double check it. So I'm gonna put my mask on, and I'm gonna walk in, get screened, and I'm gonna go to my appointment. So I am back home now. The appointment went really well, and we discussed a few things, and kind of frustrating, I don't have my Dexcom right now, and my blood pressure was actually high. It wasn't like sky high, but it was like pre-hypertensive, and I forgot to tell the medical assistant that I had a low blood sugar prior. And like I said, I wholeheartedly believe that messes with your blood pressure, because I could feel like my heart rate did not feel right, even though it was a normal beat. Like I could, like the when she checked my pulse, it was like in the 80s, which is normal. But like for me, just sitting there, normally my pulse would be like in the 60s or 70s. So it leads me to believe that my weird fluctuating blood sugars caused me a lot of mess. But anyways, this is the best angle I can get right now, and maybe I can trying to find a way where I can like kind of lean in, because my back is really sore and I don't feel like sitting on a chair right now, and nor do I feel like standing fully. So I've been doing a lot of grass mowing, and I think that's why my back has been hurting me the past couple days. And I could take ibuprofen, but that random low, I was thinking maybe it was related to my period coming, which could also explain why my back is killing me right now. But like I said, it's not super bad, so I'm not going to take anything for it. I'm just going to kind of leave it. So if I'm kind of rocking back and forth, that's probably why. If you have to drop off sharps, you guys can go ahead and do that. I dropped mine off in the emergency room on the opposite side of where like my endocrinologist is. And they didn't say anything to me. He just asked me what I was there for, and I wore a mask, and I said, I'm just here to drop off sharps, and he let me do it, and I left. I did run a few errands for my neighbor and grandma today, like grocery store and something else, because my neighbor doesn't really get out a lot. Like, she doesn't drive, so I'm not gonna expect her to go like fetch her stuff if she needs it. And my grandma, obviously, I'm not gonna expect her to go places if she doesn't feel comfortable right now with this pandemic, considering that I'm a low risk for COVID-19 complications if I was to actually get the virus. So I go out and about and whatever, and my endocrinologist isn't worried about me going back to school, and she thought it was interesting how all the stuff we're doing in dentistry now. She's a super cool lady, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just want to give you an update. I am home now. Like I said, this is kind of a sit down / actual, like, what happened during the whole thing. And that is my dog, if you can hear her. I just let her outside. I don't know why she's acting like that. But anyways, that's kind of what happened today. It was a pretty chill day, and just went to my appointment, I guess, and ran a few errands and came home. But I don't have to worry about seeing her now until October. And at that time, they will do another A1C in 4 months, and my vitamin D levels will get checked again. So nothing really new or exciting. Holding my own, doing well with diabetes, and I'm gonna have to continue on with 6 days more of finger poking. My low went up to 156, and I ate tons of glucose tablets, so I'm kind of like impressed it didn't go higher. I am feeling a little bit of stress right now. It's from other things, not related to COVID or anything like that. It's just like, I would just say, I'm not going to get into detail with them, but I would just say there's a lot of stuff right now going on for me that's happening all at once. And it's like, I don't mind the circumstances, but like, please don't have me do 20 million things at once. But unfortunately, that's how life throws things at you. It seems like when you get something thrown at you, 20 million things get thrown at you. One of my teachers today on our WebEx, I had a WebEx this morning. Yeah, like we could have picked between like an afternoon and a morning, and I went to the morning one. She's like, you look tired, and I slept really good last night. But I was not about to say that I was stressed. Like, you know, like I'm one of these people that unless you really ask me how I'm feeling with other things, like you don't know. Same with diabetes wise, like I may have a really high or really low blood sugar, and you may not be able to tell it, or you may not be able to notice it or recognize it unless you're next to me, or you can just kind of tell if you're a type 1 diabetic yourself, or unless you ask me specifically, I'm not going to tell you, because obviously I'm not trying to seek attention or make people feel sorry for me. I just live my life just like everybody else, and if people ask me how I am, I tell them, but I don't go into super detail. So like, I wasn't lying, like I wasn't tired, I'm just stressed, and that's something I was not gonna let her know, because let's just say I don't want to let stress get me, and I feel like if I sit and harp on it, the worse it's gonna be. And I'm not even really that stressed about not having a CGM, it's just merely more annoying to me. That's just merely more how I think about it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, and like I said, what I say is merely what I go through with my office and my opinions, so please, please, please take them for what it's worth. Don't go writing negative comments saying, oh, I don't agree with you on X, Y, and Z, or whatever. I'm simply here to just show you my life in order to like educate you on what I deal with and go through, and I've gotten really nothing but positive feedback, but I always throw that disclaimer, like whatever I say, whatever research I do, whatever I do in my life is mine, and I choose to anyways, share. My blood sugar was 102, and I had a small slice of pizza and some cauliflower gnocchi and some peas for dinner. I did like 40 carbs, half and half over an hour and a half, I think, just because of the pizza. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm on finger sticks, so I'm poking my finger like 15 to 20 times a day. Kind of annoying, but you know, thank God this is happening when it is, and I'm not in clinic now. This is June, not July. If you don't know the date, it's June 25th, 2020. So I'm at the point of like trying to keep you guys in sync with my life, just because I feel horrible not making as much content. And trust me, I have so many videos I want to get out, and so many that I have filmed and have to edit or etc. And so many things that are just going on with other people, like needing help and stuff. Like, obviously, if my grandma needs something, I'm not going to just say no. Like, obviously, I'm not going to leave her hanging, you know, pandemic-wise and everything. Like, I'm not just going to let her be without groceries because she might be a little nervous to go into a grocery store. I don't care. You know, like, I'm going to be there to help her. I'm going to take the precautions I need to and be safe myself. Like I said, because I consider myself a pretty low risk. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. I post videos every single week about diabetes plus more. or as often as I can, I should say. I'd like to get back to once a week. Stay tuned. I got lots more coming out. I have to catch up on T1D with Maddie episodes. I've got a couple other videos that are more scientific that I want to talk about. Plus, I want to talk about my second semester in dental hygiene school, kind of how that went. And then there will be a second piece to that because I have to finish up my clinicals in July. And then the new semester starts in August. And I will officially be a second-year dental hygiene student. Like, that's crazy. I am, like, inches from graduating. Like, it feels so surreal. But the time is going to fly so quickly. So like I said, I'm thankful for what is going on right now. I feel like this pandemic altogether has all taught us just to be kinder to one another, just to be supportive of one another, and just to expect the unexpected. And I feel like us as type 1 diabetics are really good at somewhat learning, or at least learning to manipulate through different situations and be like, you know what, if this happens, it happens. Like, I'm not going to sit and fret my life away over it. Or I'm not going to sit and panic about something that probably isn't going to happen or whatever, you know, like, you learn to adapt really well to different situations. So anyways, until next time for another video, take care. God bless. Be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. I love you all. Thank you for your support, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.